All right, welcome back everybody to Cruising Complete. I'm your host Barry. I'm pumped up. I'm stoked. We got so much good news this week. Great stories came out this week. I'm not even going to spoil it and say what it is yet. We're just going to cruise right into it. Alright, so many big stories this week in cruising. We're going to start off with one or two of the smaller stories. Virgin Voyages, they came out and requiring vaccinations for passengers on board Virgin Voyages. So more and more cruise lines are starting to do this, so they're not sailing yet, but when they do start sailing, vaccinations will be required on Virgin. There was a lot of talk about the UK this week. More and more cruise lines are starting up in the UK. We got MSC, Princess, Cunard, P&O, Viking, Fred Olsen, and others all starting to cruise in the UK. So they're starting to get things rolling. Now some of these cruise lines are requiring vaccinations, some of them are not. The ones that are not is MSC. MSC is going to require a negative test prior to boarding, and then they're going to follow their other safety protocols while on board. Fred Olsen, same thing, negative test before boarding, safety protocols on board. But Viking cruises, no vaccine, negative test before boarding, but also they're going to be doing testing daily on Viking cruises. They're going to have a full lab on board that's going to be able to handle that. So daily testing, I guess they're trying to make sure that, they don't have any issues on Viking. Is daily testing mean that you don't need vaccines? We'll see. I think there's multiple ways to do it, but daily testing on Viking. The other cruise lines I mentioned, Princess, Cunard, P&O, other cruise lines as well, they're going to require vaccinations. Now what's interesting about this is last weekend, the CEO of Carnival, Arnold Donald, was doing an interview and talking to Financial Times. And in that, he said that they don't expect Carnival Cruise Lines to require vaccinations fleet-wide. He just said that he doesn't think that that's going to happen. But at the same time, he said that it may happen for some of the trips if they do any trips geared around senior citizens, that may be required. But what's interesting about this is two of those companies starting in the UK are owned by Carnival Corporation. Both Princess and P&O Cruise Lines are owned by Carnival, and both of those are requiring vaccines. So maybe he's just talking about Carnival Cruise Line, their big name cruise line itself. We'll have to wait and see, but there's a lot of mixed talk about whether cruise lines are going to require vaccinations. We're going to jump right into the big stories of the week now. Before we do, let me invite you to subscribe to the channel. Go down and hit the like button so it'll tell YouTube to show the video to everybody else. We're all about sharing information in the news. We want everybody to have the same news that we get, and we just enjoy sharing it. And by hitting that like button, you're going to tell YouTube that you want to share this video with other people. Subscribe so you don't miss any of the info in the future, and hit the notifications button so that way you'll be notified as soon as a new video comes out. Let's jump into the big story of the week. So on Wednesday, Royal Caribbean had their webinar with their travel advisors. And during this webinar, there was supposed to be a big announcement. Well, their big announcement was that Navigator of the Seas was going to move to Los Angeles and start sailing out of Los Angeles. And they worked this up right before that. Vicky Freed from Royal Caribbean was posting on social media, and they were all like, "This is the best news. We're gonna release the best news that you've been waiting for. Everybody's been waiting for this news, and we're finally, we got this great news that everybody's been waiting for." And then they released that Navigator's going to Los Angeles. Now, I'll admit that's great news because they haven't sailed out of Los Angeles in 10 years. It's great for folks on the West Coast who want a port that they can go out of over there. But everybody had higher expectations the way they were building this up. So it kind of let everybody down. They were expecting something maybe like Cozumel start sailing again, or test sailing in the US, or the CDC guidelines that we've been waiting on. We were waiting on something a little bit bigger. Well, then on Thursday, news started to come out that Celebrity was going to make an announcement on Friday. Now, Celebrity is one of Royal Caribbean's sister lines. They're all owned by the same company. So on Friday morning, Celebrity broke with their news. The Celebrity Millennium ship is going to be sailing out of St. Martin. Now this ship just had a $500 million refurbishment. I believe it was the end of 2019, and there really wasn't much sailing in 2020, so it's practically like a brand new ship, okay? So it's going to do 7-night sailings going out of St. Martin. Now the neat thing about this is they're doing packages where you could fly into St. Martin and cruise. I believe it starts at around $1,999. That includes your airfare, that includes your gratuities, that includes your drinks, your Wi-Fi. It's an all-inclusive package. So while it's a little expensive, it does include your airfare and everything. And one of the places most people like to visit when they go to St. Martin, a lot of people, if you've never been, go to Maarten Beach, so you can see the airplanes flying over your head. Well, now you get to see it from a different perspective. If you fly in there, you can be looking down at Maarten Beach instead of looking up at the plane. So a little different perspective there. So the different itineraries they're going to do, they're going to start in June. And the interesting thing about this as well is this is open to anybody can go into St. Martin and fly into St. Martin and go on this cruise. U.S. citizens, Canadian citizens, there's no restrictions like there is in the UK. It's for UK residents only. Anybody can fly into St. Martin and get on this cruise. So it's going to start at the beginning of June. They're going to run 7-night sailings from June to August. Now it's a short, like 3 months. I don't know if they plan on extending it maybe. Maybe they plan on making some changes after that, but it's just for the 3-month period. It's going to go on the website live March 25th to be able to book this. So just a couple weeks away, maybe a little bit more than a week away, to be able to actually go on and book these cruises. Now there's 2 different itineraries. You go to St. Martin, you can go to Aruba, Curacao, and Barbados for the first itinerary. The second one is Tortola, St. Lucia, and Barbados. So you have a couple of different options as where you want to go on this. Now, vaccines are required for everybody 18 years of age and older. Under the age of 18 is a negative test, a negative COVID test. Even those that are 18 and older, though, still also need a negative COVID test. Now, one thing else to think about, too, when you're booking this trip is I don't know, they haven't really said anything about United States citizens yet, because when you get off that ship and you go to fly back to the United States, you're going to need a negative test within 72 hours of boarding your flight back home to the U.S. So for U.S. citizens, it's a little interesting because they do offer testing in St. Martin, everywhere has testing, but you're going to have to set that up, and I don't know if the cruise lines are setting that up for you. I guess we'll have to wait and see what comes from that. So interesting stuff about the testing going on. So that news broke on Friday morning with Celebrity coming out with that. Friday, shortly after Celebrity announces, Royal Caribbean says we're not done. Boom. Adventure of the Seas going to Nassau, going to home port in Nassau. 7-night itineraries. It's going to go 2 days to Perfect Day at Coco Cay or Coco Key, however you pronounce it. It's going to go to Grand Bahama Island, and it's going to go to Cozumel. Now that one's also going to be starting in June. Same thing as a Celebrity cruise, 7-night sailing starting in June. It's going to go through August as well. We'll see if they extend it. We'll see what happens with that. Vaccinations also required for 18 and over on that cruise. 17 and under are going to need a negative test. Same thing, you're going to need a negative test before flying home to the U.S. on that as well. Now, I did look up the testing, and if it's not provided by the cruise lines in any way, in Nassau, the testing is $25 per person. So you will need to pay that if it's not provided by the cruise line. Also, going into the Bahamas, they're going to require you to have a health visa. You can get these, they range from like $40 to $70 from what I've seen, but Royal Caribbean will also be adding a $50 onboard credit for every passenger to kind of supplement that fee a little bit to help pay for your health visa that you're going to need for the Bahamas. They're going to open for bookings on March 24th for the Adventure of the Seas. So we're getting more options now. Finally, something that U.S. citizens can go down and go on. Previously, everything seemed to be geared around citizens of that, like the UK only, or citizens of Israel, could go on the Odyssey of the Seas, or only Singapore for Quantum of the Seas. Well, now we're starting to see places in the Caribbean. We haven't heard anything about Cozumel yet. Maybe that's another port that's coming into the future. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see on that. I did look up some flight info because, like I said, the Celebrity one was all included. Your airfare was included. I haven't heard of Royal Caribbean's doing the same thing with the Adventure, but you can get flights for anywhere. The lowest I saw was $270 out of Miami, and out of like Los Angeles, it was up to like $460 to fly into Nassau. Now, another option, if you don't like flying, you can go to, if you can get to Fort Lauderdale, there's a ferry in Fort Lauderdale that goes down to the Bahamas. It goes to Freeport, so that ferry ride is going to take about 2.5 hours. It was just over $100. I think it was like $120. And then you jump on another ferry that goes from Freeport to Nassau. Now that one they say takes about 9 hours, so I don't know if they're going around the island, touring the island, or what exactly it is. But total for the two of them was like $220 for the 2 ferry rides that would get you into Nassau. Now they only offer it on certain days of the week, so I don't know if it would match up. We'll have to wait and see what the dates they release, and the ships are sailing, to see if it matches up. If you can take the ferry in and then jump on a cruise ship the same day, it may be something where you'll have to go down and get a hotel the night before if you decide to take the ferry. So great news either way. Lots of more cruise ships, an opportunity for the major markets to open in the Caribbean, and for U.S. citizens to get on the major cruise lines, not just some of the smaller river boats that are starting to open. There's been a lot of talk in the United States now about them relaxing travel restrictions, maybe sometime in May. That would line up with what the UK is doing. I'm sure vaccinations are going to play a big role in this. We're seeing a lot more cruise lines require vaccinations. So maybe it's something where it's going to depend on the government or the local ports of what they're going to allow. Because we continue to see some are requiring it and some are not. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see moving forward. But anyway, it was a great week of news. There's a lot more positive news that's supposed to be coming out next week. We'll keep everybody updated on that. Go to the Facebook group, join the Facebook group. Anytime a news story comes up, we post it there as breaking news, and then we'll normally do a recap at the end of the week in a video. So definitely go to the Facebook group page and join there. Our email is down below. Feel free to email us. Question for the comments. Would you fly down to the Caribbean if you're in the U.S.? Would you fly down to get on one of these ships? Or are you going to wait until the U.S. opens up and get on a port from here? Let us know down there in the comments. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great week. See you next week.